Okay, perfect. It looks like we are going to be on the draw for this match. Can't catch a break over here. Okay, this hand actually looks pretty great. Has the Brainstorm in it, the Gataxian Probe, ways to draw us or get us some new cards, and it has the Mentoring. Okay. So he has a Mox, a Soul Ring. Okay, an Opal. So this right here is telling us that our opponent is on a heavy artifact deck. Maybe Charbelcher, maybe Steel City Vault. We'll have to see a little bit more of his deck to really understand. Okay, top. I'm not going to force that. I think with how his... I'm not going to force that either. I think with how his draw is going, we're really going to have to force like his big payoff spells or his really like insane card draw spells. The Seed of the Synod is telling me that this is probably a Steel City Vault type deck, as you can't play lands in your Belcher deck. Okay, our opponent is just wombo comboing off over on us. Alright, our turn. Okay, let's see, I don't think we can do anything as awesome, but here we're just going to time walk just to kind of get an extra turn. We're basically using it as a cantrip in this sense. Oh, perfect. This was actually a really nice draw because now we can use our lands to use the land to play Mentor, and then we can immediately trigger it and make a token with our Mox. Our opponent is going to top in response, like any self-respecting top player will. And it looks like he's going to use the last two cards in his hand to forces. I definitely think this is worth picking a fight over. We just don't have any repeatable source of damage and pressure on our opponent, like the Mentor. Then we're going to immediately trigger it. And you bet that we are going to fire off that Get Probe. As you can see with this deck, a lot of times the Get Probe doesn't even matter to look at their hand. It's really just a free way to trigger the Mentor and kind of cycle. And we basically here are just going to hope that our opponent's deck is merciful to us and he doesn't draw anything. The Forcible is nice because if we draw either a land or a blue spell, we will be able to cast it next turn. This turn we're just kind of on the edge. And now our opponent has dropped Tolarian Academy, basically doubling his or her mana here. And he's popping his Expedition map for a free shuffle effect. He's also going to grab a Manamo. That's amazing with his Tolarian Academy. Nice little combo there. Our opponent is flipping the top. They must have found something good. Time Spiral. Ooh, that is really, really, really bad because that gets to just refill his entire hand here. And he gets to untap his Tolarian Academy. Here we're just going to have to hope that the counter spells that we drew into are going to be good enough. I'm not going to counter this. This is just some more mana. We're basically looking for like a big payoff spell from him. And hope that our little lonely Forcible is going to be able to get the job done. Expedition maps, a-okay with me. Ooh, that's an interesting one. We could misstep it. I think we're just going to leave it. It hasn't presented a threat on this board just yet. But that is definitely a win condition for him, or half of it, I guess. Treasure Cruise. This is big enough to pick a fight with, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and force this. I'm going to pitch Flusterstorm. He has so much mana, it's unlikely that going forward it's going to do much. Okay, I guess he decided that that was it. For sideboarding against this artifact heavy deck, we are going to bring in Nature's Claim, Pyroblast, and Ancient Grudge. We are going to go ahead and take out Scourge to Plowshares as he doesn't really have any creatures. We're going to take out Flusterstorm and a basic island. Flusterstorm can do something against some of our opponent's hands, but more often than not, our opponent will have too much mana that it won't even matter. Okay, we're going to be on the draw for game 2 here. We're going to keep this hand. It has a lot of interaction with him. It has a Nature's Claim, some counter spells. We just need one finisher to kind of take over a little bit here. atop. That's a pretty good mental miss of target. We still have Gataxian Probe to pitch to Force. Black Lotus seems pretty good. Tolarian Academy, that's got to be one of the best cards in our opponent's deck. And he pitched the Black Lotus before he tapped to Tolarian Academy. Okay, here we have Time Vault. I'm not going to force that yet. I will force the other piece. And there is the other piece. So we are definitely going to force that. Or else we lose. Okay, let's see what we draw. Okay, we drew a Gush here. We're going to play our Delta Fetch. Get Tropical Island so we can play this Claim. And here we can choose to either do the Time Vault or the mana. I think it's probably better just to keep him off the mana right now. Although it is close because these decks usually do run more keys. Okay, another Gush. That's definitely not what we want to see. We'll be gushing soon. Opal isn't even turned on right now, so that's at least not too much of a concern for us. Wow, 3 of a kind when it comes to Gushes. So we're going to go ahead and Gush here. Hope we draw some action. We drew a land. At least we drew a Force of Will. So we can use the other Gushes to pitch to Force of Will. We found a use for them, right? Chromox, that does turn on his Opal. Still not something we're 100% worried about. We're basically just going to force something pretty important that he plays here. Little mana. This is close, but I think it's fine. We'll let it resolve. And our opponent has 1 card in hand. Okay, we drew a Jace, so now it is a race to Jace. How quickly can we play this Jace and have it start impacting the board? Knowing that our opponent has very few cards in hand, Jace Fate Seal will be able to really take over the game as well. So here, our opponent is playing top. I think this is definitely worth forcing. Because of how much filtering it's going to be able to do, it's definitely going to be able to find him something good. So we're just going to go ahead and force that. We drew a misstep. we drew a misstep. We drew a misstep, so we're just going to play it land. Still pretty much on the same game plan here. Our opponent's casting Thirst for Knowledge now. We don't really have many ways to interact with that. We could Gush, but that takes us 2 turns off of Jace, which is basically the only thing we have kind of going for us right now. Okay, here I'm definitely going to have to misstep this since he does have the combo piece already in play. He has a misstep. Unfortunately, we do have to Gush. I know I said we didn't want to, but desperate times call for desperate measures. We really need a misstep here or a force. Preferably a force and something else. And just like that, it looks like it's going to resolve, and that is the game. As far as sideboarding goes, I think we're pretty much in a good position here. I'm happy with everything that we brought in. That's it. We're on the play for game 3 here, and this hand looks really spicy. Looks like we're gonna have a turn 1 Jace. Can't really complain too much about that. We also have an Ancient Grudge, which is an amazing card in this matchup, and we also have a Gush to maybe fuel up later down the line. Looks like our opponent is mulliganing here, so that makes it even more likely that our Jace is going to resolve. Okay. Let's do it, Leroy Jenkins. And turn 1 Jace. Is it a success? It looks like it is. So we're just gonna go ahead and brainstorm here. We have a lot of goodies here. We're just gonna put back 2 lands and say go. Oh, the key. I think we'll leave that yet. We're only basically similar to the other matches, forcing really big haymakers here. Thoughtcast also resolves. Okay. So here, let's start off by brainstorming with Jace. Even more goodies. Let's put back 2 of those lands. Throw down a Delta. I think we're going to wait to grudge. We might grudge on our opponent's turn. Top is okay. I think we're going to be able with these 2 grudges to control his mana a little bit. So I think I'm fine with that, unlike the other games. Okay, end of turn. We're going to throw one of these grudges. We could throw it at the key, but I think right now it's better to throw it at his mana, which is usually not the case with these artifact style decks, but in this specific instance I believe it is, because he's a little bit choked on it. So we're gonna go ahead and grudge this one. Oh, and he's gonna force it. Okay, so it looks like we were right about the mana, because he's forcing it, so we're obviously onto something here. Okay, even though he knows that we can flash that back. So here we have a Get Probe. I think every good turn starts with the Jace Brainstorm. So let's brainstorm first. Wow, okay. There's just so many goodies, there's like, I don't even know what to do with it. I don't even have lands to put back at this point. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be playing the Sylvan Library this turn. I think we have a few other things to do. And we're probably not going to be casting Gataxian Probe either. So I'm leaning to those 2 cards. Now we're going to play Library. We're going to play our Mox. We are going to flash back our Grudge, targeting the Mox that I want to steal the least, since we're going to be playing Dakfade in this turn. I definitely want to take the one that can make white mana for me. Gonna play Dak. Still one of his only mana sources left. And see what we can do on our turn with our ill-gotten gains. I must say Jace and Dak look very good together on my side of the table. Dak attack. And Jace the amazing. Better than all, I've heard him say. This is fine. We're not worried about this. We can always grudge this if we want to later. Time Walk. This is also fine. Normally, like, you think you might want to force a piece of power. However, it's really a desperate one. He had no cards in hand, so he's gonna have to draw really big. Soul Ring's not gonna be it. We're just gonna misstep that. Mainly just so I can grudge the Chromox and complete my no mana. Opponent's gonna top here, looking for something. It's nice that we were able to see Dak shine in this game, as we had to take him out in the other 2 games that we watched. Okay, so here I'm not really gonna slow roll my opponent. I'm just gonna grudge the Mox, and I can't imagine he'll be around for much longer after. Alright, and thank you all so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it.